The world is so incredibly peaceful when covered in snow. There's a silence that somehow seems to put broken pieces of ourselves back together. Nature's therapy of solitude and quiet reflection, a time when the noise of the world is hushed and peace encompasses the soul, if only for a brief visit. So since it's cold here in East Tennessee, I want to focus a little bit on skin health. It gets a little cold and dry, and then your skin kind of suffers a little bit. Today I'm focusing on just some oils that I've had in my cabinet infusing for a while. I've got a plantain oil, and then I have one with chamomile, calendula, and wild comfrey. The plantain and the wild comfrey both come from my land. Those are things that I have foraged off of my land in my woods. And I also grow chamomile and calendula. However, because I use a lot of it, I do purchase those items extra, but I also do have them in my garden. I've already strained the oil with the plantain, calendula, chamomile, and comfrey, and I will be adding castor oil and vitamin E. So basically my recipe I have formulated because every time it comes out with the right consistency, it's very creamy, it's very smooth, it's very easy to apply to the skin. So basically I have 1 cup of oil I have already strained, and I have 5 ounces of beeswax pellets. I have plantain oil and an infused oil with calendula, chamomile, and wild comfrey. These have been sitting in my cabinet infusing for a few months, so they're ready to go. So I went ahead and strained out 1 cup of the oils, and I'm going to be adding with that castor oil and vitamin E. The vitamin E prevents oxidation, so it's great to add just a couple of drops in to extend your shelf life. It's also very, very good for the skin. So all of these things are anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, antioxidant. They stimulate cell growth, helps repair and protect from environmental damage, from sun damage, wind damage, helps with acne, eczema, dermatitis, moisturizes skin, and smooths wrinkles. Now I will say I am 51 years old, and I only use my products on my face. I never use any store-bought item or anything that I haven't made myself. A lot of that is because I'm cheap.
Thrifty.
Thrifty. And I do have my one specific tried and true recipe. The core basic recipe is just 1 cup of oil, 5 ounces of beeswax. This ensures that the consistency is going to be nice and creamy, very easy to spread. So here I just have a really simple kind of double boiler system set up. I've got a small pan with a little water boiling in the bottom. I'll go ahead and put my oil in and get it warming up. So that's about a cup. And then I'm just going to put a couple of droppers full of castor oil. It's one of my very favorite things. If I was going to go to one particular thing for my skin, it's going to be castor oil. It seriously is amazing for wrinkles. So I'm just going to put a couple of droppers in. And then just a few drops of the vitamin E. As we know, vitamin E is absolutely amazing for the skin. Very healing. And then we're just going to add our beeswax. And just let it do its thing. Now this particular salve is not going to have any smell. There's no lavender or anything in it that's going to make it smell really good, but that's not what we're after here. So while this is melting together, I thought I'd take a minute to share one of my new little finds that I found at the Habitat Restore. So I always take a minute to look in the jewelry cabinet. I don't like to spend a lot of money or time on jewelry, but I love it. And I popped over at the last minute and found this little amethyst with the chain, $3. It's one of my recent favorite finds, as I'm super thrifty and always looking for a deal. But if it has a crystal or any type of stone, I'm gonna scarf it up. And again, for $3, that's crazy. So as far as the infused oils go, I always start with just a really good olive oil. So I'm gonna make a couple, one just for me, and I always try to make a couple extra for friends, family. And once it's all completely incorporated together, it's ready to go in the jar. Now I wanted to talk really quickly about infusing the oils and what type of material you want to use. When you're infusing oil, you want to use a dry product. You definitely don't want to use fresh herbs because they will mold. And you want to be really careful when you are pouring that you actually do not get any water in your salve in your jar, because it will, again, it will help to mold, and that is definitely not what you want to do. So since everything is nice and melted together, just go ahead and pour in. And now we just simply let them sit and set up. So I thought, while that was taking a minute to solidify, we'd talk about some herbs that are really good for this time of year. I have a lot of people that come to me and they say, hey, what can I take for, getting all this junk out of my head, or I have sinus issues and, I'm congested. And a couple of things that are really good to keep on hand, usually pretty easy to find. You can find them in a lot of fields or yards, is mullein. Mulleine's really good for the lungs and keeping everything nice and clear there. And also nettle. Nettle is one thing when you talk to any kind of herbalists or foragers, this is going to be one of their favorite things, because it's so easy to find, but it's also so good for so many different things. And nettle's very, very good for the sinuses. Both of these are great in a tea, but what has been working really well this year for myself, my mother-in-law, is just basically putting it in a pan full of water and steaming it. You just cover with a towel, put just a little handful of each, and just let it go and just steam for a couple of minutes. And you're gonna spend a couple of minutes just kind of hacking all that stuff up and out, but once it's gone, once it's out of there, you're gonna feel so much better. And again, you can put it in a tea, but just doing the steaming and the vapor really gets to the point and makes it really quick. It's a great day to start the day when you wake up, this time of year, and you're just like, I feel really awful. It's really quick, simple, and easy. And it's just really worth keeping these two on hand this time of year. Now that it's had a few minutes to sit up, I wanted to go ahead and show you the consistency. So it's nice and creamy, very nice and easy to spread. It really, it does soak in very quickly, so it doesn't leave you long feeling oily. I do not like that feeling at all. So this is why I love this recipe so much. The 1 cup of oil, 5 cups of beeswax, because it always comes out with the perfect creamy consistency in the end.